I don't have to travel for a little while. Hey, Facebook, how are you guys doing?
Hello, Facebook.
I'm not going anywhere
Not
for a little
going
while.
Yeah. Yes, we're finally back in studio.
Yes, we're back in studio.
It's been, what, 3 weeks? Four since we've
I
been
want to say
on?
three.
Three?
But I could be wrong. I've been wrong many
Before?
times. Just ask my wife. She'll tell you all about it.
She'll tell you all about it.
Yes.
All right.
We have a great show for you guys. Stay tuned.
Yes, please.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to do some really fun stuff. Something very appropriate for our modern day that we live in today.
Is that the word?
That's
Appropriate?
what I'm using. That's what we're going with.
Okay.
Okay.
Here we go.
Here we go. Stand by. Give me quiet for about 10 seconds.
I never imagined a love like yours. Through all the endless nights, you were the one I was searching for. Looking for the one that was worth it, yeah. And all this time, you were right here by my side. You were right here. Through all the pain and the heartaches, now it's all messed up, and I'm walking out, slamming the door. And now I'm riding off into the dark on a wild horse, yeah, with nothing but my thoughts. Don't know.
I'm going to welcome you back to the Rob Medill Show. My name is Rob Griffin.
And I'm Dale Oaks.
I like that song by Aaron Michael.
Yeah, Aaron
Isn't that-
Michael.
He's good, man.
He's got a lot going on. He's actually going to be performing live out in Rockwall, down by the harbor on, let me see, Saturday, September 10th, actually, in the evening.
That's nice. So what is the venue called?
I'm going to have to find that out. It's down by the, I'm sorry, I couldn't think of the name
It's
of it.
down
but
by there, over there, next to that
It's
thing.
down by there. Get her done. I think he comes on at 8 o'clock at night, but it's at a restaurant there by the harbor. I'll find out. We'll put
I bet if we
something up.
Google it, we could probably find out.
If you go to Aaron Michael, you'll see, his Facebook. You'll see his Facebook, and
There you
he'll
go.
have something in there where he'll post.
There you go.
Yeah, he's performing. He shot a thing out about having us come on by. So
Well, this show is about entrepreneurship, leadership, and
becoming a better person.
every week Dale does massive research. I'll give you guys a golden nugget to make your life one step better. What do you have for us this week, sir?
Well, we're going to use the word courage. Now, let's think about that for a moment, right? Well, courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Okay, you got to have that to be able to do that, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But also, courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen. Because many a times, and I'm probably one of them, that I've stood up and I've spoke at an event, and you're done with your speaking, you're going, well, I wonder how well that went over. And a lot of times, what you'd rather be off doing is listen to somebody else, and that's kind of what we're trying to talk about as far as our entrepreneurship, leadership, and becoming a better person is being willing to listen to somebody else's story.
Ain't that the truth?
So sometimes it is better for your courage is to sit down and be willing to listen, and that's what I really want people to think about. We all can be somebody we want to be. We just got to be willing to go for it. Mm-hmm. But it also takes that certain person too to be willing to sit back and listen and understand. We can learn a lot more sometimes just by listening. So.
My old mentor used to tell me, he said, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use them accordingly.
Accordingly.
And what a lot of people do is they talk about their most favorite subject, which is themselves.
Yes.
And sometimes they can't get out of their own way. And
This
so
is true.
as I've gotten older, I've tried to learn how to be quiet and listen, especially since that's how you stay happily married, by the way. And so I would just strongly suggest that if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room. And I would suggest find yourself and surround yourself with successful people, because that will certainly help you.
Well, I agree. That's why sometimes your inner circle is a lot smaller than what you think because of the certain people that you surround yourself with. It's like, for an example, if I was to call you at 3 a.m, Rob,
I'd answer.
I guarantee you would answer.
I would, yes.
But there's some people I would call, I guarantee you they wouldn't answer.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so
Yeah,
Come
so
on.
not only have people smarter than you, but have people that are reliable too.
yes, amen to that.
I'm a poet and didn't know it.
Yes.
That rhymed.
And that was one of the things my guest that's going to be on the show here, we talked about on the way over, is reliability, people's responsibilities and following through. So that'd be a good opener.
Well, you know why he's responsible? Because he's an entrepreneur. So
That's
there's
it.
another thing. It's one of those gifts. Like if you're that person that has that responsible mindset, you probably are more inclined to become a business owner as opposed to being an employee.
Yes.
There's a big difference between the mindset of an employee,
Yes.
which I currently am one right now. It was not by choice. I think it's going to happen because my company got acquired. But I'm not saying that to say it's bad. But there is a definite mindset difference between an employee and a business owner.
Absolutely.
And a lot of that boils down to responsibility and being able to handle it.
Yes. 100% behind you on that. Again, we talk about entrepreneurship, leadership, and becoming a better person. The only way you're going to be able to do that is you've got to make up your mind what you want to do to be successful. You may not have the answer today, you may not have it tomorrow, but I'm telling you, if you will listen to what you said, sometimes God gave us 2 ears and a mouth. You got to be willing to listen and shut up sometimes.
Amen to that.
Okay.
We have a very successful entrepreneur who's going to
Yes.
be talking about one of my favorite subjects today. So I had no clue this was going to happen. So thank you, Dale, again for setting it up.
Oh, no problem.
We're going to take a short break. My name is Rob Griffin.
Dale Oaks.
And we'll be right back.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Bulletproof Mindset, the Rob and Dale Show. We love talking about that entrepreneurship, leadership, and
Becoming a better human being, Dale.
better human being, Dale.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, listen, before we get into the show, we really got to give a quick shout out to Revote Healthcare Alliance, our wonderful sponsor of this amazing show. If you guys are looking for health insurance, you're looking for a great deal, save 40 to 50% on your insurance, reach out to Scotty at 214-986-0723. He can help you with your Healthcare Alliance. Healthcare Alliance, what can I say? He can help you with your healthcare through Healthcare Alliance. Okay? Reach out to Scotty at Revote Healthcare Alliance, 214-986-0723.
He is amazing. I just got through watching a bunch of people who need health care.
Right.
I went to the UFC that they had here in Dallas, Texas,
Yes.
and I saw some people get put to sleep,
Put,
Dale.
put to sleep even if they wanted to or not.
And they were probably needing health care. In fact, the vast majority of them probably ended up in the hospital. Have you ever been to a live UFC event?
No, I have not. I've been to several events, but not a live one like
It is
that.
so different to do it in person.
Yeah.
It really is. It's worth the money. It's kind of odd because you can't hear the commentary because you're just kind of stuck. But you hear all the crazy people yelling and screaming, and that's just as fun.
I thought that maybe that was just you.
Yeah, no, I'm actually well behaved, but there's some that aren't.
I got you.
So it's if you have kids, like I brought my kids, I was kind of wishing I hadn't because you hear a
Some
whole
language.
lot of crazy.
Whole
screaming
lot of
going on.
crazy. Oh well. But you had fun though, right?
I had a blast.
There you
I got
go.
my little
Got your UFC
little
shirt on.
T-shirt
There
going
we go.
on.
Sponsoring the UFC.
Yeah,
Well.
I wish we were. Dana, reach out, buddy.
Come on. Well, we had Uriah Hall on not too long ago.
Yes, we did. We had
Remember?
Uriah, and Uriah's awesome.
He is awesome.
He's awesome.
So-
He's got a fight coming up again.
He does. He does.
Anyway, I would like to welcome to the Rob and Dale Show the one and only Mr. Rick Cruz. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
We're so glad that you are here. So, whenever we do our interviews, before we get into what you do and your businesses and all that, let's just learn a little bit who Rick is. Are you a native Texan? Were you born and raised in the great state of Texas?
I was not.
Okay.
I was actually born in Puerto Rico.
No way.
I grew up in the D.C. area, Northern Virginia.
Oh wow,
So
that's like
Manassas,
Yeah.
Virginia was my home, my
Wow.
hometown. So
okay. So I've been to Puerto Rico.
Okay.
I went to Old San Juan. We did the whole tour.
Yeah.
I spent most of my time at the Bacardi factory, which was awesome.
Well, I can just imagine.
Yes, and so if you do this tour, Dale, and have you ever been to a Bacardi factory?
No, I have not, so.
And so they walk you around, they tell you how to make the rum, and no one pays attention. All they care about is get me to the end so I can have a free cocktail. And me and my buddy, Kid It, if you're listening. Anyway, we did the tour about 4 or 5 times, and
Yeah.
by the end of the tour, we were pretty, we would say in the police world, intoxicated. Yes. But it was great.
Oh, I
Free
don't know.
alcohol.
Yes, there
It
you
was
go.
awesome.
in Old San Juan, they actually have rum-infused cigars.
No
Those
way.
Those are some of the most amazing cigars. If you've never had one, aged in a barrel with rum, it's actually
No
amazing.
way.
Yeah, they're amazing.
See,
So-
a lot of guys who drink whiskey, which I have done once or twice
Probably.
in the last week,
Okay.
they would, if they did smoke, I'm not a big smoker, but if they did smoke a cigar, they would dip it into the spirit because you'd get that flavor.
Interesting.
You didn't know this? Okay.
No,
that's-
so
it's a-
I'm not a drinker. I've actually never drank alcohol.
wow.
Yeah, when he told me that when we were in that fishing extravaganza
A lot of
last week,
people
I was
don't
like,
believe
going,
me.
really?
I've never had a beer. I've never had a shot.
Well, God bless you, man.
So-
Just
Yes.
don't do it.
Well, it's been 45 years, so
Yeah,
things
well,
have
that's
started
now.
all right.
There's
Why
no
would-
sense.
Was that just like a thing that was input in you by your parents? You just said, you know what,
No.
I'm just not going to do this.
Yeah, Not really. So my parents didn't drink, but it wasn't really there. I think I just kind of know my person. I don't think I'd be here today if I was a big drinker. 'Cause just like an entrepreneur, we go hard. So
Yeah.
the rest of my life is kind of crazy. So if that was in there, I think I've made some really bad decisions. So I'm pretty happy with my decision of not doing
So
it.
it's just an understanding yourself.
Yes, that's part of it.
Know thyself.
Yes, thyself.
Yeah,
yes.
know thyself, and then behave accordingly. That's awesome. So congrats on that, man. I was not that strong.
Well, you're looking at another one. So
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, my wife and I had a podcast called Drinking for Dummies. That'll give you an idea where we were at. Anyway, let's get back to Rick. So, born in Puerto Rico, moved to D.C. How old were you?
I was 3 months old. I was like, I told my parents I was tired of drinking coconuts. Get me off this island.
Yeah, I could totally see
bring
that.
me back to the States. Take me up
So
there.
you don't. I'm assuming you don't have any real memories of Puerto Rico. Have you been
No,
back since?
I have been back since.
Yeah.
I still have. My grandfather actually died last year. He was 102.
wow.
Wow.
So, yeah,
that's
so I went
crazy.
back to visit him maybe like 10 years ago. And I still got, my aunt is a nun. She was a nun for 50 years. She just retired. So,
Wow.
but they're still out there. And when I went out there, I have uncles as well. We went out. I got to meet with them all. The national bird of Puerto Rico is actually the frog, the coqui frog. It's not a bird, but
That's
it's
funny.
when you hear the coqui sound. That's what Puerto Rico is known for. That's why they have all those little frogs everywhere. But they took me out and they like played guitar and sang at night, with the sounds of the frog. It was amazing. Just a wonderful time
darned.
visiting with family.
That's
out
cool.
there.
So when I went there, and this is a long time ago. This is 30 years ago when I was there. I was really shocked. I was like, you have San Juan, which is all the touristy and the casinos and all that. And then to get to Old San Juan, you got to drive through the ghetto, basically. Or like what I would say ghetto. But it's like low income, really poor type people. But it was really depressing to see the differences. And you get that in many places. But there's a big
Sure.
divide, if you will, from the haves and the have-nots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, too bad for that. Anyway, so grew up in D.C.
Yeah, I grew up in Northern Virginia area.
Northern Virginia. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been to D.C. several times. It's a unique town.
It really is. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. I mean, you think about all the monuments and all the museums that they have here. Everywhere you go, you got to pay. But in D.C., natural history, you just walk in and you start walking around. There's no fees to walk.
Nice.
We pay out of our taxes.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
But it's a wonderful. All the different memorials and museums that are out there. It's a great place to go. Old Town.
Now, is it Rolling Hills, kind of like the
DC
the
itself?
Atlanta area or the Athens area?
Virginia is.
Virginia.
Yeah, just
Virginia.
not in the D.C.
Not in
area. You don't
DC.
see a lot of mountains.
It's more of just city.
City.
and
It's
a
just
lot
city, but you're like you said, you're surrounded by monuments. Like
old-
right next to the airport is the Pentagon and all kinds
Yeah.
of really cool stuff.
Yeah, I was there during 9/11. and
No
the
way.
Pentagon
Wow.
got hit. Yeah, that was a
Wow.
crazy time. I was there when they had the DC sniper. I don't know. They just brought him back out. I don't know if
That's
you saw
the guy
in
that
news.
was hiding in the trunk of the cars and he was
Yes,
shooting
I
people.
we were actually, it freaked us out. Like,
Yeah.
they told everybody back then that it was a guy in a white contractor van.
Mm-hmm.
And everywhere you looked in DC is all contractor vans. And then you're driving around and people would, with contractor vans would put, "I am not the sniper" on the back of their
On the window,
vans. Because
yeah.
everybody's like driving and giving them mean looks and stuff.
Yeah.
I
So,
remember that. 'Cause
yeah.
I can't remember what year that was, but I remember that was headline news all over the country.
A lot of the gas stations would put tarps up so that you could pull up and not be seen by and actually it was in my hometown. There was somebody that got shot in Manassas in one of the gas stations I've filled up at many times.
Yeah, and they put up the tarps, and the whole premise there is so the shooter couldn't see you.
Couldn't see you, right.
And they couldn't figure out where you were at the pump and take you out. That was a crazy one, man. And it didn't fit any of the stereotypical stuff, because in law enforcement we try to, I shouldn't say this word, but like we try to pick a certain type of individual and say, and and there's a negative connotation behind that, but typically humans are creatures of habit, and so you'll see certain people react certain ways, and so we would kind of create a profile, if you will. Some would call it profiling. It's not really what cops do, but then they would build an idea, and it helps you at least with a search pattern. That guy didn't fit any of the profiles. It was
Both of
very
them.
unique.
There was 2 guys.
There was
right?
2 of them, yeah.
And they were in the trunk of a car, so you couldn't even see when they were shooting. They were shooting out of a keyhole out of the trunk of a car.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
the seats would roll back, and they would crawl in the back, and then just pick a victim. And shot guys on lawnmowers in their front yard. Like there was no rhyme or reason to it. And they actually pulled him over, I think, a couple times. They found him sleeping. They didn't know they didn't know they were the shooter.
There was a famous guy back from the day. I'm dating myself here, called Chester the Molester, who would go around. He was, remember this?
Just true.
And we talk about random car stops. One of my buddies pulled him over on just a traffic stop and ended up hooking this guy who was wanted for felonies all over the country. Just on a random, didn't use his turn signal. So for those of you who get mad at the cops and you get pulled over, it's not that they're trying to ticket you. We don't have quotas. It's a way to identify criminal behavior, and sometimes we get lucky and get a bad guy.
Right.
And if it's you and you didn't do anything wrong, we'll give you a warning and send you on your way. So
Be
relax.
nice. Be
So
nice.
relax. Be nice to the police officer. Anyway, so I digress. So D.C. growing up in there,
Yeah.
politically charged, in obviously world you're living in there. Were you experienced with that, or you just had just pretty much a normal childhood?
Normal childhood. We grew up on kind of the, let's say, the poor side, the lower income class, not middle class, but kind of all my friends had Xboxes and PlayStations, and I came over to their house to go play them. You know?
Right, right.
So that was kind of our life. Right? There was 5 of us, a family of 7. So grew up in, on the lower side. So it was, kind of struggling a bit. So
Very similar to me.
politics wasn't high on our list. It was like, hey, are we gonna eat this week?
Let's survive. Right.
Are lights gonna be on, and things like that.
So as a young man going through school, did you know one day I'm going to start my own business, or?
I think maybe like some other entrepreneurs, you don't like to be told what to do, especially in school. It's like, hey, you got to get good grades. You're not going to be anything, and it's like it's almost fuel for the fire inside. It's like, oh, you know what? I'm going to show you. So I failed a lot of tests. I didn't pay attention. I had ADHD. I think I do. I think I still do. It's probably part of being an entrepreneur. But it always drove me to think, what do I want to do? What do I want to be? I never thought I wanted to be a doctor or a lawyer or something. It's like I always wanted to do whatever I was passionate about, And so that's always I've always had like little side gigs growing up, selling stuff on the side of the road or things like that. So.
Well, I think that's how it starts, right, Dale?
Well, I was going to say the key to being an entrepreneur is having passion. You got to have passion to be able to do something you want to do. I mean, not everybody wants to sell a car, and not everybody wants to be a doctor, like you said, or be a lawyer. But if they have the passion for it, and maybe because their family, it was part of their family inheritance, or not they're part of their family tradition. But what I'm saying is, I always went off of my passion, and a lot of things I would do had to do with sports related. Because I love playing sports. It was either basketball, baseball, or football. So I love taking that type of energy and effort and hard work and put it into building my own company. I couldn't work for anybody else either. I tried. It just wouldn't work. So, and I've been self-employed since probably '82.
Congratulations, man.
So,
I think if you do what you enjoy, you'll never work a day in your life.
Well,
right?
this is true.
If you
This is
follow
true.
your passion.
Yeah.
Sometimes your passion comes with headaches, but then at least you're doing it for yourself and not somebody else.
no, I agree. You're going to have your ups and downs. That's just part of growing, right?
Well, I think for me, my passion was more of kind of a passion / more of a fear.
Right.
So when we grew up, I remember we went through some really hard times, and there was times where I cooked for a lot of my family. So like my mom was working, my dad was working. So when we got home from school, I would I'd watch with this show called Walk with Yan. It's this old guy that would just, Asian guy that would teach you how to, cook out of a wok and stuff. And I'd just mix all kinds of things together. So I'd cook for my family. I remember we went through, my dad was away for a while, and my mom was trying to work. And we went through this time where we ran out of food.
Wow.
And this was a life-changing moment. And so I had been cooking food for the week. My mom was trying to work, and she wasn't bringing in any money. And I had cooked, and it was the middle of the week, and I went to the pantry, and we had no food. There was literally like a can of mushroom something, and there's just 2 cans of something that even if I mix them together, it wasn't food. It was just like a sauce or something.
Right.
And my little sister, she was probably like 6 or 7 at the time. She came in. She's like, "Rick, I'm hungry." And I was like, "We don't have any food." I was like, "Drink some water and go to bed." And she started crying. She's like, "I'm hungry." I was like, and I got mad. I was hungry. We didn't have any food. And that was it just changed my. She went to bed. We both went to bed hungry that night. And then shortly after, we ended up getting from the pantry, from a church pantry. They came out and helped my mom during this really hard time. And I remember that defined my. I never wanted my kids or my family or anything in my life to ever get to the point where I could not provide. I was 12 or 13 years old, and that just changed my mindset at that. And that really pushed me to not just. I just didn't want to. I didn't want to just have a job. I wanted to succeed and over succeed and build something big that I'd never have to worry that anybody in my life that mattered to me would have to go through something like that.
Wow. What an eye opener. I mean, to experience that as a young child and have it like just literally branded on you that, hey, I'm not going to let this happen to me or my family. Do you, by the way, do you have any kids now?
I do. I only have 4.
Just 4?
Just 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Awesome. And obviously you're providing very, very well for them now, thank God.
They're
yes.
actually they're all in college now.
Wow.
So
Oh,
my
wow.
kids-
Yeah, I only got one of those.
Yeah.
Man,
So
God
my
bless you.
oldest is out of college. I got another one that's at Laterno, and another one that's at OU, and another one that just went to Stephen Austin. That's
Nacogdoches.
Wow. So you're growing up in D.C. When did you flee Virginia? Did you where'd you go after that? I shouldn't say flee Virginia.
Well, I
That's
stayed in
not-
Virginia up until I was 30, 31 years old. I got married there, had all of our kids there, and Virginia has always been home, but it's the culture is a lot different. In kind of big cities, in D.C., New York, I find this a lot where everybody's busy, right? So when you talk to someone, you're like, hey, how are you doing? And they're like, fine, how are you? That's the standard answer.
Right.
And we don't have time to meet up. Every traffic is an hour everywhere for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
15-minute drive is an hour. So no one has time for anybody. But I stayed there till about 30, 31. Then me and my ex-wife, or wife at the time, kids, ended up moving to Texas. And it was just what a change. I would never move. I love Virginia. Virginia is a beautiful state. You have the beaches. You have beaches over in Maryland and Virginia, and then you have the mountains that you can go to. You got D.C. There's so much there. It's beautiful countryside. The weather, you get all 4 seasons, great. But there was tons of traffic. It was really expensive, and that's what I hated. But I moved to Texas, and about 14, 15 years ago.
Yeah, but what made you think of moving to Texas, though?
Well, I
I'm
actually
just
looked at
curious.
4 states. So
Okay.
my ex-wife and I at the time were living in her parents' basement. I had just lost my job, or I just got moved to like remote working, and she was like, she kind of got in a fight with her parents and wanted to move out, and so she just wanted to move somewhere else. And I was like, all right, let's go look at Arizona. Looked at Colorado, New Mexico, and Texas. Texas was last on the. I didn't like people from Texas. No offense, guys. I thought we're Redskins and they're the Cowboys. And there's this
Right.
huge rivalry. I was like, these Texas people are so full of themselves. I'm never going to move to Texas. So we went to went to New Mexico, and New Mexico was crazy. It's got like some of the worst schools in the area.
Yeah.
The housing thing. You got $1 million house next to a trailer, next to a suburban. There's no zoning.
Right.
And there's high crime, and it was just. I was like, no, that's not for us. And then we looked at Arizona, and I do a lot of fishing, and there was no ponds, and this is a big desert. I like
Yeah.
the weather, I like the heat, but I needed to fish. Colorado was I was too cold. Like, I love the mountains. I love visiting. I'll
I
visit
agree.
the snow.
It's good to visit.
But I'm not going to stay there all winter long and, hibernate.
Right.
Sorry. I'm sure you guys hike and do stuff. But, like, for me, the cold, my Puerto Rican blood, oh, man. I can't do the cold. So we came to Texas, and actually, right in Rockwall, I remember this time, the realtor was taking us around, took us out to Rowlett, and there's that bridge right in Rockwall, right next to Snuffers.
Yep.
And took me over that bridge, and then you just see, like, Rockwall Harbor is on the left, and you
Yeah.
see the lake. It's blue and all these trees, and I'm just like, this is where I'm moving. Like, this is where it was.
Right.
And I loved it. I moved here, and the one thing that I really noticed was, I remember I came here, I was at the store or something, and I did my, hey, how are you doing, to some guy that was walking by. It's an old timer. And he stops and looks at me, and then he walks up to me, and he sits down, and he starts telling me how he's doing. And I looked around like, is this for real? Looking for a camera or something. And he's just telling me about his farm and his chickens and all that. And I'm like, what on earth?
Yeah.
And he was just the nicest guy ever. And I really fell in love with the Southern hospitality of the
Yes.
people.
Yes.
And that were kind of in the suburbs of Dallas that are still here. You got a lot of new people from different states in the city, but just like, Everybody loves to talk. When I go back to now, I love to talk. When I go back to Virginia, I'll start talking to the waiters and waitresses. And my sister, when we're going out to dinner, she's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "I'm asking him how he's doing and want to hear how work's going." She's like, "Why are you being weird?"
I know it. I
So
know it.
It's,
I know
it's
it.
called being nice. Try
Yeah.
it.
Well, you grow up, you don't know that. In
Right.
Virginia, you don't go that deep into people's lives.
Same. I moved from Las Vegas to here, so
Mm-hmm.
I was a police officer in Vegas. Moved to Texas, and I'll never forget this. I was at one of the local grocery stores near where I was living in Bedford at the time.
Right.
And I'm just in the cereal aisle, and some dude just starts talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "What do you want? And where's my gun?" And because you just don't do that in
I
Vegas.
know it, I know
You
it,
don't
I
do
know
that
it.
at all. And like, and there's like, okay, he's some kind of a con man. He wants something.
Yeah.
And no, he was just like, "Hey, what are you looking for?" "I'm looking for Count Chocula." And I'm like, "Okay." Ironically, I was too. And I'm just like, this is so weird. But how we ended up here, Rick, was we actually Googled what are the top 10 cities in America to raise a family. 5 out of the 10 were in North Texas. I said, I got to go check this out. So we came here on vacation and fell in love. And
Yeah.
the rest is history. I've been here 7 years now. Love
Yeah.
it. Love Texas. So let's talk briefly about your business. So
Okay.
now, before we were going on the air, you were telling me that you have an RV repair business. What is it
did.
called?
It's called Best Way RV. We're here. We're about 20 miles east of Dallas. So we're in a little suburb out there in Terrell, next to the Buc-ee's.
Terrell.
Everybody
Okay.
loves
Terrell.
Buc-ee's.
Yeah.
So I've been studying the RV thing recently, and I think a lot of people have too. In fact, if you look on Prime Video and Netflix or all the other streaming services, you're going to see a ton of content. The show I mentioned to you is called Van Gogh. There's a whole bunch of RV life type stuff. There's tons of YouTube channels of people who are just, you know what, screw it, I don't want a mortgage. And they're living out of their van. Have you seen a big influx in that type of stuff to help your business?
I mean, obviously, with the rise of popularity of all those shows, there's been a lot more people that are buying buses and converting them into homes, buying vans and living out of vans,
Wow.
taking RVs and just, there's something to say about having a $2,000, $2,500 a month mortgage, buying an RV for $500, $600, $700 a month, and living in one of these camps that have, they have pools and tennis courts and ponds and all that for $500-$600 a month. It's like, man, you cut your living expenses in half. You don't need half the stuff that you have, and you have a whole different lifestyle.
So do you notice the difference in the age groups though?
Yeah, well, I mean, I see a lot of retirees, and
Right.
now more millennials are trying to go down this route, and it's kind of a weird mix where it's just mainly retires and a lot of younger people getting into this.
I'm a friend, I say acquaintance. I've never physically met them in person. A Facebook friend, if you will. But I'm very good friends with her father. And she has, how can I say this without being rude? She doesn't need money because her dad's very affluent. And but she's like, you know what, screw it. And she moved out of her apartment, dolled up a really nice one of those Sprinter vans, and that's where she lives. And she's touring the world and the country. And I see a lot of people doing that now. It's become very, very popular. So I could see being in the RV business, the demand has probably gone up.
Yeah, so I'm actually designing and developing my own overland vehicle. It's something.
Okay, what does that mean in layman's terms?
So layman's terms, an overland vehicle is kind of like a truck that goes overland that's designed to be off-grid, like, solar, you can recycle the water. They're just kind of like, there's a lot of YouTubers if you do overland. There's a Overland Expo that happens in Colorado and, East Coast, West Coast, where these people are they're putting tents on the top of their trucks and they're just going out into the woods and they're hanging out for a week or a weekend with their friends.
Wow.
Having these like solar showers and just going and seeing America in a different way. So overland is really kind of more off-road, and let's get off the main path and let's go see things that people aren't seeing on YouTube and Instagram.
See, I think we need more of that.
Well, some of the trucks that Rick was showing me will just blow your mind away. I mean, these trucks are so cool as far as the design of them. Now, the one you were showing me, I think you said Jeep made that one that had the dual tires on the back. They're not dualies, but they're
6-wheel monsters. They're
it's like
awesome. There's a
crazy.
company called Apocalypse, which I was in Miami last week, and I was coming back to Dallas, and I've heard of this company. I've seen them online on Instagram. They take a Jeep Gladiator and just make it look bad. Can I cuss on? Oh,
No.
they look bad, really nice.
Yeah.
And so my idea, I saw that, and then I saw some other kinds of trucks, and I'm going to marry two ideas together.
Right.
I've already had a designer develop kind of what my idea is going to look like, and you know, in the process now of deciding when I'm going to take it to the next step. So I'm just I'm trying to figure out when's the best time to do it. If you know, if we're going into a recession, or you know, if everything's tightening up, maybe it's not the best time. So I'm just kind of getting everything ready.
Yeah, what he's doing though with his business though, there's so many people that buy RVs or wanting to convert things with their RVs that
sure.
he can't even keep up with enough right now.
Yeah.
And I know we were talking about it over here as far as trying to find employees and staff that'll work with you, that will
Yeah.
help, because he could be really as big as he wanted to be if he had the right people. Because right now there's a demand. There's a demand. There's a lot of people that are they're wanting to redo their own RVs instead of going out and buying another one or whatever.
It's incredible. If you look on YouTube, you just do RV, you know, what do we call it, remodel.
Yeah.
You'll see hundreds of YouTube channels dedicated just to that. And where a lot of us are just lazy and we don't want to do the work, they can go see Rick and let him do the work.
That's it. That's the key right there.
and
Yeah.
redo your RV and then live like my wife and I were like, right now we're in the process of we're going to get some land in Colorado. We're going to build like the equivalent of a tiny house. And the whole idea is just like you said, if the economy is going to go into the crapper a few years from now, I'm going to be hopefully if the plan goes, I won't have no debt and I'll be able to live for peanuts because I would have worked hard and just paid off instead of having to be what I call house poor. You know, a lot of these guys, a good friend of mine, even when I was a cop, I'm like, I got a new house. I go drive by his house, and I'm like, how do you afford this?
Yeah.
We make the same pay. Does your wife have a trust fund or something? I'm like, how do you? And I realize they're just handing over most of their check to their house, and they have no money to travel and do other things.
Well, it makes you kind of a slave to your job too.
Yes, it does.
Once you get a big house like that, you are reliant on that. You can't leave. Like if you're unhappy with someone and you know you have something happen at work, it's like, oh, I'm going to stick around in this miserable situation because I can't afford to leave, and I got this big nice house now. So that's something I never wanted. So I built myself a tiny home.
Awesome.
So I live in a tiny home. I built a shipping container home. I use YouTube how to build. I've never built a house before.
So you did it
But
yourself?
I use YouTube, man. You can find everything on YouTube.
That is crazy.
It's still
Finding it
up.
is one thing.
It is still up, okay? Because if you use metal shipping containers, it's hard to mess up metal shipping containers.
Yeah.
Because they just stay up. And tornadoes, they're actually tornado resistant, hurricane resistant. They're bulletproof. So it is a great. I looked at. I was gonna do a barn dominium because
Yeah,
those things look so awesome.
Yeah, they are.
But as soon as you see all the tornadoes in Texas, I mean, just watch that thing go up in the air, and I was like,
Right.
I want to have a chance. I've been through so many tornado warnings here in Texas that. What do you do at night? And one's coming at 12 o'clock. You think, what do? You go to sleep. You're like, oh, if it's my time, it's my time. I'm going to go to sleep.
I have done that.
Yeah, you go to sleep. So at least I'll have a chance. And, you know, my worst fear is that it'll take my shipping container and throw it in my pond.
Right.
I'll end up drowning, you know.
Yeah, that's gonna
So
suck.
it's like, hey, I would have survived, but now I drown. But
Just put a big snorkel out the top in case that happens.
I'll think about that.
Figure that out. Wow. So you're not just preaching it, you're also living it.
Yeah.
And that's awesome, man. So you just you get 40 footers or 20 footers?
I got two 40-footers. I was working.
See that? I know they don't know this.
Yeah, I was working at a company at the time, and I was like, you know, I don't want to do this the rest of my life. I bought some land. I found there's a couple websites, Lands of Texas or something like that that
Yes.
you can go and look. I found owner financed land. I put minimum down, bought it. I put in water. I put in a driveway, and then I bought an RV. That's how I got into RVs.
Right.
And I lived out of an RV.
Don't do that.
Most RVs, this was back almost 10 years ago, they were just not designed to be fully lived out of. The insulation, it's hot during the summer, it's cold during the winter. Unless you get a big, like a motorhome or a fifth wheel, those things are like a house. It feels it.
Yeah.
But the little travel trailers, those are designed for weekend stuff. I lived in a little travel trailer. That was kind of, bugs get in through the little slides and everything moves when you walk around. And, you know,
Yeah.
so. But if you're going to live out of it, I'd recommend you can get a fifth wheel for almost the same price as a new travel trailer, and it's a whole different life inside of it. You know, the ceilings are higher, it stays cool, and it's warm in the winter.
So when you did your water, did you guys dig a well?
So no, we didn't have a. So fortunately or unfortunately for me, in this area of Texas, there's a dry spot east of Dallas. It goes
So
like,
no aquifer.
There's no aquifer there.
Yeah, I've been doing research. You
So
know,
yeah, so
yes.
I called when I first bought the land. I was like, I'm going to build a well. I don't want to touch the city or whatever. And I called like 4 different people. There's not a lot of people that dig wells, by the way.
That's true.
And he's like, look, I've been doing this for 50 years. He's like, I can come out there and we can dig. He's like, but you don't have water there. He's like, I'll take your money, but I don't want to. So I'm hooked into to one of the local municipalities.
Nice.
for
That's
that.
good.
So
At least it was
for
available.
water. Yeah. I mean, I got a pond now in case something ever happened, but But
Yes.
yeah, just that's how you start. You just start.
That's the key.
The thing.
That's the key.
You know,
Just
if
you
you've
gotta
been thinking
start.
about it, just start. Just do it.
Tell you, my wife and I, and I'm not trying to scare anybody or be like this doomsday, but things aren't going well right now. So I've been doing research. I went and got me some filters, and God forbid if I have to go get water out of the pond. Dale lives near a big lake. Have backup food, because we've seen things happen like with the pandemic and the
Sure.
rush on gas and the rush on toilet paper. If you're not doing something to be ready,
Right.
you're going to be one of those ones sitting around going, uh-oh.
Yep. You're gonna have to call Rob.
I don't want to be the uh-oh guy.
Uh-oh,
And don't
no.
come to my house, because
No.
we're all so well armed.
Yes, you are.
Yes, I am.
As am I.
Yeah, as you should be.
Yeah.
And, granted, and some will get on that debate, like why we shouldn't be having firearms. But if the stuff hits the fan and all you got to protect yourself is this, you're in trouble.
That's yes.
You're in trouble. You're in trouble. So I would just say do it for your family in case. It's like buying insurance.
Yeah.
So what gave you the idea to do the container home thing?
It was actually a girl that I was dating at the time. She told me, she's like, oh, we should do a shipping container home. And I was like, man, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard.
There you go.
That's why we're not together. I'm not,
Right,
not a
right,
good,
yeah.
not a good boyfriend.
Yeah.
But joking aside, I started researching it, and I was like, man, this is a great idea. And it's just very simple. It's very easy to get a shipping container. You can set it's like a Lego block. You can set them up however you want. If you just do searches on shipping containers, there's so many different designs. Actually, there's a huge one right on White Rock Lake. I think.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's $1 million home. I think it has like 18 shipping containers or something like that.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. So they did very modern design. So I started researching and ended up saying, hey, you know what? This is a good idea. I'm wrong. I never said I'm wrong. So, sorry, I'm wrong. I was wrong. You're right. She knows who she is. So it ended up working out perfect. It was
Good.
great.
Good.
That's exciting, man. So if someone wanted to reach out to you and your company, how would they find you?
So we got a website, bestwayrv.com. We're on Google. We work really hard to have, we're at like 4.9 rating, almost 5-star ratings.
That's awesome.
So that's probably the best way. Our phone number.
So is that what you say? Best way?
Best Way RV.
Best Way RV.
Bestwayrv.com.
And it's repairs only. You don't sell them.
We
or-
do have some
Okay.
consignments. I have some truck campers right now that I'm getting into. I'm liking. I used to sell. I have some old Airstreams. I have some 1970s.
Oh, those are like the ones that look like
The
silver
silver
bullets.
silver bullets.
I got
Yes.
3 of those that I'm that I'm trying to sell. I've been trying to sell for a little while now. So they're in different stages of restoration. Some of them need to be completely restored. Some of them have the original
Wow.
stuff on inside. So if you're looking for those, I got 3 of those. I need to move them out, make some space for some of the new stuff.
Okay, we might have to talk off the air.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
If
that's
you're looking
exciting.
For, they're hard to find. We had to go to Louisiana, Ohio. We got 2 of these up in Ohio because they're just not around Texas.
Well, the Airstreams were more back east than they were the West Coast area.
Yeah, and-
Growing up, that's where we saw all the Airstreamers was back east, back in the west,
Yeah,
especially the
that in
western part.
California. California has a lot. So they're just built different. They're built like an aircraft.
Yeah.
So they're all riveted together. They're built really well. They last a long time. And the best thing about buying like an Airstream or a Shasta, when I tell people if they're going to restore something like that because the value stays with it. If you buy
Right.
some like 1980 camper and you're like, I'm going to restore this thing, it's not going to retain its value because there's specialty groups that would love to give you $30, $40, $50, $60,000 for a restored Airstream, but they're not going to give you what you put into like a 1980s, Forest
They're just not
River or
built
something.
as good.
They're not built as
The
good. but-
quality of the build is
Yeah.
pretty bad. That's why you see over 10 to 15 years they get soft spots and leaks
Yeah.
all over the place.
Yeah. So I would recommend if Shasta is a good brand. There's a whole community around these really small towables that are really cute. You can look at those, and then Airstream. If you're going to put money into an old one, do it in an Airstream. I mean, it's harder, but the reward is better because it's going to last over the lifetime. You're going to get your money, the value out of it.
Now, what size of vehicle, if somebody was looking at doing this, what would they need to be able to haul something like an Airstream around though?
You can haul from just a regular 1,500 truck,
1,500?
but depending on how big, 2,500, 35. But most of the time, you can get away with most of these small Airstreams haul the easiest out of all the RVs
'cause
that
the
you see.
designs.
Because the design, you don't even feel it, the drag behind you. Every other RV, you're going to do that, but they're just special.
And they're not super heavy either, right? I mean, like.
Which
man,
ones?
The
Airstreams?
Airstreams.
Yeah,
I guess
mean-
it depends on how long and how big it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. The longer it is. So, but you can get away. I mean, with modern day SUVs, you can pull them with SUVs too.
Yeah.
You know.
That amazing truck I got from Fiesta Nissan
Yes.
in Edinburgh, Texas. It'll pull. It'll pull.
My son Kyler's a GM down there, and he got him a truck. so-
Okay.
Yeah, he hooked me up. Thanks, Kyler. It was awesome. He got me a good deal. So if
Yeah.
you're looking to get a truck to pull your RV, Fiesta Nissan, unpaid sponsor, but we love them anyway.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Well, Rick, I want to thank you so much for being here, man. Is there any one more little shout out you want to give before we close this episode?
No, I mean, I don't really have any other.
So what's the
shout-outs.
teaser? What is that vehicle we're working on?
So I am working on a 6-wheel overland vehicle. So there's a lot of 4-wheel ones, but I haven't really seen. There's some 6-wheel ones, but they look like big Humvee type deals. But this is what I'm trying to accomplish is have something. Most of these big overland are too big to take into town. Like they use them out of these big 18-wheeler trucks or big, military vehicles, and it's this huge off-road thing, and it's just impractical. So I'm looking to create a 6-wheel, and I got a design here. I can't really show it yet because it's
Yeah.
still under concept, but I'll show you. And it's I'll show you.
Not
right
yet.
now.
We're still on there.
Well, if they get a glimpse of it, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's actually based off of my truck, so
Oh, wow. Look at that thing.
yeah.
Isn't that
Yeah,
sexy?
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
give you a
I've already seen
flash.
it.
That's
There
all
you
you,
go.
that's all you
Yeah.
get, by
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah.
So it's just designed to be compact. You could take it across country, and the 6-wheel just adds the wow factor that you're not really seeing.
Okay, so
anywhere
which
else.
trucking company do we want to go after? Because you told me, hey, I'd like to have a Nissan truck.
I drive a Nissan Titan XD.
Okay.
But I have Dodge, I have Ford, I have Chevy, and Toyota's out there. There's one that's like this on a Toyota frame. Really, we're kind of ubiquitous, so it just depends on what truck frame you want to do, and whoever spends the most money, whoever wants the money.
Right.
But,
There you go.
But we're looking at possible partnerships with other companies to build the truck side, because there's one company that we mentioned today that I just briefly approached them about what I'm doing. I haven't officially approached them yet. But maybe having them do the truck part and we do the RV part and create a symbiotic relationship,
Sure.
which I think would
That'd be great.
be very advantageous for both of us.
So what we're saying is we'll have a new episode in a few months or maybe next year sometime for the new, what's it called again? Overland.
The overland it's an
Overland
overland vehicle,
vehicle.
but yeah, it's I got
My
the
best way.
yeah
RV.
best way RV.
That best we are. I can't
Exactly.
wait.
Yeah.
That sounds like something fun to drive.
It's-
You know how Rick and I met? By Major Dodge. Major was having a birthday party. Well, not a birthday party. He was having a fishing kind of get out and get away. And so he had asked Rick and he had asked me to go with him on this little venture up there at Texoma. And that's where I got a chance to meet Rick and spend some time. And when he was sharing his story and he was showing me some of the things, I kept going, man, Rick, you got to come on our podcast.
Yeah.
And so Major's going, yeah, you need to get him on there and so on and so forth. But anyways, we had a great time that day, caught a lot of fish. Major was bragging quite a bit because usually Rick kicks his butt in catching fish.
I take Major out a lot.
He takes him
Yeah.
out because he's got a beautiful he's got a beautiful fishing boat. So
Nice.
It's a lot of fun. But
but Major kind of jumped all over it that day.
it was his birthday.
It was his
This was
birthday.
perfect for him.
Yeah.
He caught the most fish, caught the biggest fish, caught the first fish, and he reminds me all the time.
And
All
he's
the time.
listening to the show.
Yeah,
he
he's
told me
listening.
to. So, Major, kudos to you. Congratulations on that day. We loved it, and obviously it was a great time to do it. But that's how I met Rick, and that's why I'm going, buddy, we got to get you over here.
I
So-
guess
Yeah.
I do got to shout out. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram, it's
Yes, please. That's what they want to do.
Cruiser076. You can follow me there. And I do have a fishing Instagram. It's called Cruise Fishing. But
Cruise
Fishing. Nice.
because not everybody wants to see all my fish all the time. So if you want
Yeah.
to see my fishing, it's Cruise Fishing. But just my regular Instagram is Cruiser076.
I have a 14-year-old who loves fishing, so he and
Oh,
he and I go on. We're very, very novice, very novice fishermen, but we'll chat. We'll
Yes.
chat later.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to thank you so much for being here, man. What a great,
thanks again, Rick.
informative
Thanks again,
episode. I love the whole tiny house thing, the whole let's get a vehicle for the apocalypse. Like I could see me with a 50 cal for the zombies when they start chasing me, as they were.
That's
you
a
and your
feature
son.
we can add.
Yeah,
That's-
we,
that's-
that
we
for
could
you
do
guys.
that.
Yeah.
Yes.
That would be pretty neat.
I'm telling you, he's got it going on.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. So one more time, the website.
It is bestwayrv.com.
bestwayrv.com. Go check it out if you have an RV that needs remodeling,
Yes.
repairing.
Yes.
We now
DFW.
have the guy that can do it for you.
Yes, we can.
And if
Yes.
you want an awesome project for the fall, let's go rebuild an Airstream. That sounds
That's
like
it.
fun, actually.
You know, Airstream, or what did you get? A container?
Shipping containers.
Container?
Well, that's my house.
Yeah, I
well,
got I'm going to have to steal your fire on that, how you did that, because I'm literally looking at ideas to put on my property I'm going to get in Colorado. So we'll chat.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
thank you so much for being
Yeah,
here,
no
brother.
Problem, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Another amazing episode, Dale.
Yes, absolutely.
That was fun. I
Absolutely.
don't know how you keep finding these amazing guests, but
Oh.
please keep it up, brother.
We just enjoy talking to people.
And the good news is I'm not traveling for a couple weeks.
Okay.
'Cause I'm going to be down
Okay, that's
with
right.
my knee surgery, so we can probably be back in studio next week.
Okay.
I'll
Will
be
you
on
be able to
crutches.
hobble in?
I'll be on crutches, but I'll be okay.
Okay. Well, this will be praying for you. Know that.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. So, hey,
Absolutely.
thank you so much for
Yeah.
being there. Please make sure you find us on Spotify, iTunes, or anywhere you would find a podcast.
I agree 100%.
We're
Thank you for
trying to
listening.
grow our
We'll
show.
See you again.
Until next time, I am Rob Griffin.
Dale Oaks.
We'll catch you on the next one. God bless you guys.
You bet.